Get up. It's a Moody morning. 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 Better get up on it. Hey, it's a Moody morning. Don't let your mornings be moody. Let them be moody.
Well, hello, boys and girls, it's me, Dr. Moody, and welcome back to our podcast, Moody Mornings, where we have exactly what you need for your Moody Mornings. And we're back today with episode number 13. And on today's episode, we're going to look at the life of a man named Joshua, and we're going to talk about courage. Oh man, what did you see that? What was it? Please tell me it wasn't what I think it was. I cannot stand spiders. Pastor Steve, help me!
Dr. Moody, you need to calm down.
No. You do not understand. I don't like bugs or insects or anything that crawl, especially spiders.
I've never seen you act this way, Dr. Moody. You know, I've always admired your strength and your courage. This is so unlike you.
No, I am a man of courage. I just do not like spiders. Timmy, get the hazmat suit and the flamethrower. I'm gonna take this thing out before it gets me.
Dr. Moody, you've got to settle down.
Settle down.
Besides, I don't even see the spider anymore. Dr. Moody, I think it's okay to come down from the table now.
No,
besides,
just because you can't see it doesn't mean you can't see me.
Dr. Moody. And besides, I don't think you want Timmy to go get that flamethrower. You really don't want to burn down your laboratory.
You're right. Are you sure it's gone? Fine, let me get settled back in my chair. Just keep an eye out for it, Pastor Steve. I don't want it anywhere near me. Okay. And besides, doesn't the spider know he's being rude? We're trying to record a podcast here. Anyhow, where was I? Episode number 13, Joshua and Courage. Oh, yes, I forgot. We need to welcome my co-host to the show.
Dr. Moody, I think we're way past that now. And besides, I think everybody heard you cry out my name when you were calling for help.
Did I do that? Sorry. My bad.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Moody, anyhow, today we're talking about courage. Do you want to tell everyone what the definition of courage is, or should I?
Well, considering the circumstance, it probably would be better if you did it.
I couldn't agree with you more. Well, boys and girls, courage can be defined as the quality of spirit that enables you to face danger or pain without showing fear. It can also be defined as the willingness to act in obedience to God's calling and purposes, relying on His strength and His guidance.
Well, in that case, you can see that I'm very courageous.
Oh, my goodness, Dr. Moody. Well, anyways, I think it's time that we bring in our special guest today. He is a man who showed bravery and courage in the face of adversity. A man that God used in many amazing ways, including leading the children of Israel into the promised land.
Yes, I absolutely love reading about him in the Bible. Let's all welcome Joshua, and thank you for joining us today. Hopefully we didn't take you away from doing something courageous.
Thank you for having me. As a matter of fact, it did take a lot of courage for me to come to your studio for this recording. I'm not used to this kind of thing.
See? My fears of spiders aren't that bad. Joshua's afraid of a studio.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, Dr. Moody.
Joshua, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. The Bible introduces me as Joshua, the son of Nun.
Nun? What happened to your parents?
Pastor Steve, is he always like this?
Yeah, unfortunately, most of the time.
No, I'm sorry. I thought I had it bad leading the children of Israel in the wilderness. Anyways, as I was saying, I'm Joshua, the son of Nun, which is my father's name, Dr. Moody. I was born in Egypt during the time the Israelites were slaves, when God used a man named Moses to lead our people out of Egypt. This would be the man that would teach me everything I know about leadership and serving God.
Well, that must have been something special, serving alongside Moses. Do you remember how that all began, how it all started?
Yes. One of my favorite memories is of Moses sending out the 12 spies into the promised land, which my buddy Caleb and I were a part of. We scouted out the land, and only Caleb and I had brought back a good report. While the other 10 men were fearful, Caleb and I were reminded of the promise of God, that this land would be ours. We knew that because of His promise, He would deliver our enemies into our hands. We had confidence that He would guide us and strengthen us.
That's where the courage comes in.
Yes, many people think I was courageous because I was able to face danger, but I can tell you that it was only because of God. He was my refuge and my strength. I believe the psalmist later on would continue that thought and say, he was a very present help in times of trouble.
Joshua, that is Psalm chapter 46. Such an amazing psalm. And boys and girls, I would encourage you and your parents, if you can, to read the entire passage of Scripture. How important it is, boys and girls, that we praise him for who he is. Why don't we all sing, "We Praise You"?
Let praise be a weapon that silences the enemy. And let praise be a weapon that conquers all anxiety. Let it rise. Let praise arise. And we sing your name in the dark, and it changes everything. And we sing with all we are, we claim your victory. So let it rise, let praise arise. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side, forever lift him high. With all creation cry, God, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, let faith be a song that overcomes the raging sea. And let faith be a song that calms the storm inside of me. So let it rise, let faith arise, let it rise. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side, forever lift him high. With all creation cry, God, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. We praise you. Oh, this is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you. We praise you. This is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you, we praise. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side, forever lift him high. With all creation cry, God, we praise you.
Well, I couldn't help but notice that there was a line in that song that mentioned walls falling down. You know a thing or two about breaking down some walls, don't you, Joshua? Why don't you tell us your story and share how you displayed courage?
Yes, well, I remember that courage isn't always defined as not showing fear in dangerous situations, but rather the willingness to act in obedience to God's calling and purposes, relying on his strength and guidance no matter what lies ahead. The story you were talking about happened in a place called Jericho.
Joshua, I don't mean to interrupt you, but can you share with us what helped prepare you for that moment? I believe it's pretty important for us to know that part.
Yes, that was a moment I will never forget. One day, when we were near Jericho, I looked up, and there was a man standing before me with a sword. While I was talking with him, I asked him who he was. He responded by telling me that he was the commander of the army of the Lord, and he told me to remove my shoes, for I was standing on holy ground. I remember Moses telling me he had a very similar experience with the burning bush and the great I Am. I soon came to realize that it was none other than Jesus himself standing before me, and all I could do was fall down and worship.
Wait, so how did that prepare you for knocking down some walls?
It was shortly thereafter that the Lord gave me very specific commands in regards to defeating the city of Jericho. His battle plan was much different than what I would have chosen. He told me that we were to walk around the city one time each day for 6 days.
Oh, that sounds like you were just going in circles.
Yes, Dr. Moody, that does sound a little unconventional, but the Bible tells us in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 3 and 4, "For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God for pulling down strongholds."
I'm glad you mentioned that. We never had to lift a finger to bring down the walls of Jericho. No matter how high the wall or how big the army, our weapon was praise and prayer. Our mighty God fought for us. On the seventh day, he told us that we were to march around the city 7 times, and on the 7th time, the priests were to blow their trumpets, and the people were to lift a great shout. So we did as the Lord commanded, and the great walls of Jericho fell flat. In our obedience to God, we were able to demonstrate courage in the face of a seemingly overwhelming enemy.
Well, the courage you and the people displayed has been an inspiration to many people over the years.
Thank you. That's really encouraging to hear. There were several other occasions that we had to display courage. Many times God asked us to do something, and we had to act in obedience and rely solely on him. There was a time he told us to take 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan River and place them on the other side. The river was deep, and the water was moving fast. How were we to do that? We all said to ourselves. Well, God parted the Jordan River when the priest walked in with the Ark of the Covenant, and we walked on dry ground. Once again, God showed us his power just like he did when he parted the Red Sea with Moses.
Wow, Joshua, it really took courage on your part to take those steps of obedience and to trust that God would make a way for you to do what he commanded you to do. Was there anything else that you can think of?
There are so many to list. You can read about some of them in the book of Joshua, though. I want to see if I can help Dr. Moody out with this current situation.
Me? Help me? Who said I needed help? I've done a lot of courageous things in my life. Last night, I walked downstairs. I didn't even turn on the lights. I let Timmy help me with my experiments. And trust me, that takes a lot of courage. I host this podcast. This podcast is pretty... I need to be courageous for that.
Dr. Moody, I was here at the beginning of the show, and I did witness what took place. I'm not doubting you can be courageous, but I think we both can agree that this was not a time where you showed the most courage.
Well, I guess I could use the help, but it's really not all that important. Not in comparison to what you had to go up against.
No, of course it's important. You see, God doesn't care about how big or small our problems are. In fact, he's more concerned in whether we come to him or not in our problems. Whether it's a spider we're afraid of, or there's an army against us, God still stands strong for us. All we have to do is run to him.
I guess you're right. God does care about all of our problems. Even if it's a spider, he will give me the courage to deal with it, even if I ask. There it is again. What do I do, Joshua? Do I walk in circles?
Dr. Moody, I think you're missing the point.
I'm getting the flamethrower.
Wait, Dr. Moody, come back. I think you're missing the point.
Thank you again for joining us today on Moody Mornings. We hope that you learned a little more about courage as we looked at the life of Joshua. Next time on Moody Mornings, we'll look at the life of Nehemiah on a special Labor Day episode. Be sure to tune in. And don't forget to check us out online. Have your parents search for us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Just have them search for CCGS Kids. And don't forget to follow our podcast, Moody Mornings, so you don't miss out on any new episodes. We would love to see you in person as well. Find out more about Calvary Chapel Golden Springs by visiting our website at www.calvarygs.org. Remember, no matter what time of the day, you can always have a Moody Morning. See you next time.